Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
I'm open. Woo! Welcome to the show. This is another episode of Off Court with Guerilla Sports.
No, it's not. It's
Off
not
field.
off
Does
court.
not have a biscuit? Oh my God, you guys! I'm so excited about this win. I can't even think straight.
Awesome.
It's almost, I want to just make this very clear. I did not drink during that game, despite me fumbling my words just now. I should have though. I should have popped a bottle of champagne because Nate.
Yeah.
The Broncos beat the Raiders both at home and on the road this season. How are you feeling? What a great game. I mean, there's a lot of good things we can be talking about as it pertains to this football game.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is you beat the Raiders on the road for the first time in 8 games. 8 years. It's been since 2015, since Payton Manning was in the building. Since then, they haven't, Oakland, Vegas, they never won in Vegas. So I think getting that monkey off the back is really important. They haven't beaten the Raiders. They've only beaten the Raiders once out of 9. Like the Raiders were on an 8-game winning streak before, or like a 6-game winning streak before last year. Anyway, you beat the Raiders, all right?
Yep.
You followed up the 38-6 win with another good performance on the road. I think the Broncos feel pretty good about where they are. We're going to break it down, I'm sure, but they're 7-5. They're in the playoff hunt right now, and behind them is the Miami Dolphins, who are like 4-7 or something like that. So they're controlling their destiny quite nicely here.
Absolutely. It was a really great win, and honestly, kind of pretty similar to the first game against the Raiders this season. I was watching it going, this is trending in a similar direction where the Raiders felt like they had the momentum early, and then shout out Brandon Jones. He has been an absolutely fantastic addition to this team. An interception by him, it felt like that was the moment that the momentum switched in favor of the Denver Broncos. And we saw the same thing when they played the Raiders at home. It was a pick six by Pat Surtain that ultimately switched the momentum and allowed the Broncos to kind of find their rhythm and get back on track and get a win. So a convincing win by this Broncos team, 10 points. I think they were favored by 6 going into this game. And I was honestly worried, to be completely transparent, about them covering that spread because I know how competitive these games can be. Doesn't matter what that Raiders roster looks like. Doesn't matter how banged up they are. Doesn't matter about the momentum that this Broncos team has. It's a rivalry, and we know that those games can be awfully close. And also, really quickly, football was weird today. Football was very bizarro, weirdo today. A lot of really close games, a lot of underdogs that showed up. And so, yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew that the Broncos were have been doing some really great things as of late, but it was really cool to see that on the field, 4 quarters of football. Which quarter do you think was their strongest of the 4?
It was definitely the second half, the fourth quarter, I think. The Broncos really kind of put their foot on the gas. But the first half, the Raiders came to play, didn't they? I mean, they did. They looked good. They actually had a 13-9 lead going into halftime. The Raiders we talked about this all week, Liv. You know how the Raiders always find a way to play the Broncos well, even when they suck. And so no matter how bad the Raiders life is going, they find the Broncos and they're like, yes, and they play well. They give them their all. So 13-9 at halftime, and the Broncos, I think, responded pretty well in the second half. Took control. I mean, you love to see Bo Nix out there with Courtland Sutton taking over in the second half.
Loved it.
2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns for Courtland. 8 catches, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devon Vele really showing up as well.
He
6
had some
for
big
80.
plays.
Yeah, he did. Marvin Mims again had some nice plays.
Yes.
So Bo Nix really kind of a very composed game, 25 of 42, 273 and 2 touchdowns, and once again no turnovers. 15 straight quarters with no turnovers for this team. So I think they feel pretty darn good about where they're at.
What's really cool, I think, right now in regards to Bo Nix is that for a while there, most people were talking about him in relation to being a really solid rookie quarterback and the numbers compared to Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. But now Bo Nix is comparing well league wide. He has impressive numbers compared to every quarterback in this league right now, not just rookie quarterbacks. And that's a really great feeling. I tweeted in the fourth quarter and said, Broncos country, we're in good hands. It feels like this is just this is our guy. And I feel like that is a feeling Broncos country has been missing for a while, is having a quarterback that you can rely on, that is your guy. And they finally have that. And that's a really great feeling. Because again, Bo Nix, he's not just playing good for a rookie. He's playing good for a quarterback in the NFL right now. And it's wildly impressive to watch him get better every single week.
Yeah, he's not looking like a rookie, is he? It's pretty crazy. His competition, Jaden Daniels, in the Rookie of the Year race right now, he went 25-38. Very similar numbers today to Bo. 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks. He turned the ball over, and they lost to the Cowboys, who aren't very good. So Bo's kind of taking the lead.
Woo! I'll make $300 if he is Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Is that right? Look at all your bets you got going. You should be taking us out to dinner after this. You should be buying us the tote bags and doing all that, because you seem to be.
Do you want a man purse?
I do, actually, right across here.
Okay. I'll consider it. Christmas is coming up, so I'll consider it.
But Bo Nix is his moxie. I think his leadership, aside from the numbers, which are good. I don't know if you saw that, like that slow-mo before they went to a commercial break. Bo was talking shit to a defensive
He was.
player, and he was like, he didn't look scared at all. He was like, man, I'm right here, And so,
I loved it.
Yeah, so did I. So that's our guy, right? He's not a little weenie. Like, didn't Gardner Minshew just look all sad and just like, what, dude, what's going on, man? He just looks so sad out there. Bo, eyes wide, in the moment, in control. Gardner Minshew, the exact opposite. You could see the kind of different guys they are. And I think you hit the nail on the head. He's our guy.
He's our guy, and he was throwing some darts. I mean, he has just gotten so much more confident, especially in the pocket. We know early in the season, especially you expressed some concern about staying in the pocket. He just looked a little bit more insecure in that way, which I think is why we saw him use his legs a lot more. I actually bet on him to run it in the end zone himself this week against the Raiders. But honestly, that bet was really profitable for me at the first part of the season. I don't think it will be now that he's comfortable through the air. He has just established his pass game right now. Just looks great. He's protecting the ball very well. He's finding his rhythm and his groove, and he's settling into who he is. And I truly think, he's got that natural born talent, of course, but having what is it, 61 starts in college, it provides a lot of experience. And so he kind of has seen it all. And of course, the college level of football is very different than the highest level of football, which is the NFL. But 61 games starting is just great experience. You've seen a little bit of everything, and you're prepared for a little bit of everything. And then you've got a coach that I think runs a system to prepare you for any type of situation. And it's showing, it's boding very well for this Broncos team, having Bo Nix with that experience, because when he plays confident, it's beautiful, honestly.
It is a thing of beauty, and it's it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Sean Payton fired up too. I don't know if you saw him after running for the handshake. He's like, "Fuck yeah, hell yeah, motherfucker!" He was doing
relative to the dub,
relative to this awesome feeling. But like, what?
Oh my gosh.
Sean Payton called some in the second half there when the Broncos were trying to play 4-minute offense, meaning they want to run the ball, they want to run the clock out. Sean Payton's throwing the ball 3 times in a row. Incompletions, you're punting. Bo Nix's ability to protect the ball and make smart decisions bails out Sean Payton sometimes when he makes some bad sort of strings of play calls. In my opinion, some of those at the end there could have come back to bite you if you had a better offense on the other side. The Raiders were able to take advantage of it, for example, because it was a 2-score game, plenty of time. It was actually a 1-score game at one point, plenty of time. And Sean Payton is throwing the ball on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down. Typically, you want to run that ball out. But Bo Nix covers for it. He's a guy, like you said, 61 starts. He's been in a lot of football situations. That's how Sean Payton calls it, situations. It's not situation. It's Sig. There's a couple things relative to situational football.
Wait, what's the other thing he says that drives me nuts?
Players. Look, listen. Look, he just does that when he's yeah, look, listen.
No, there's a word
hear
where
me
he
now,
replaces.
believe me later.
There's a word where he replaces there's a lot of people that do it. I'm gonna have to think about it, but he replaces one letter in a word that's just like not grammatically correct at all, and I just am like, Sean, look at how it's spelled. Please.
Some football people say across. Like he went across.
Oh, they add a little T at the end there.
Yeah, they add a little T. I think it's a regional relative to where you're from.
Relative to where you live. Yeah, that's
but
fair.
Sean Payton, he's got these guys playing well. The defense is incredible. I mean, the Raiders, were able to put some points up a little bit there in the first half, but that was their only touchdown, right? If I'm correct, was that one in the first half? Yeah, that's right. And so,
yeah, that's right.
no. Then I looked it up. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's right. So
I was like, all right.
Right here. No, I got the stats right here. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. So, but a lot of those scoring opportunities the Raiders had in the first half were because of some special teams plays that they were able to, that long kick return was like a 58-yarder or whatever it was, and then the fake punt also, which caught the Broncos by surprise. You remember they just lost their old timer. He left. Special teams coach who Sean Payton brought out of retirement to come and be the coach. And then they got the kick block, and all of a sudden he's sick and needs to step away from the team forever. You do the math there on that one.
I did it. 2 + 2 = 4.
Hey, forget about it.
The
right?
math is mathing.
Right? But then he leaves, and now look what's happening to the special teams. Yeah. Maybe he wasn't so freaking bad after all, is all I'm saying. So, hey, be careful what you wish for, relative to your coaches leaving. I don't know.
That's it. It's that simple. The math is mathing. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out, to be honest with you.
But anyway, they found a way to win regardless of a couple bad plays on special teams. Defense played really well. Nick Bonito with that play at the strip sack at the end of the game to end it and get his 10th sack of the season there. Let's see. The Denver defense had 5 sacks. Malcolm Roach had 1. DJ Jones, Jonathan Cooper each had a half. So did Cody Barton, a half a sack. And Wazirike got a half a sack. He was super happy, not just because of the sack, but he bet the over on himself for sacks.
Who did?
Wazirike.
Is he allowed to do that?
No, I'm just playing. He got suspended for a year for betting on games. That's what.
I was like, why would he do that? That is really not smart. Oh, no, thank you, Warhorse 48. He says this is the best post-game show. Come on, and everyone watching, hit that like button. Yeah, do that and show your appreciation. Do that, please.
Do it. Thanks, Warhorse.
Yeah. I like that. I did notice first half they ran the ball better than they did in the second half. But again, some of that could be a little bit of comfortability. I don't know what the numbers are. You could correct me if I'm super wrong on that. But I'm pretty sure in the first half, we ran the ball a little bit better.
Yeah, you had Jaleel had like an 18-yarder, a couple. Well, maybe that was in the second half. But they only rushed for 63 total yards. It was
not great.
Pretty bad, yeah.
But, yeah. I think at the beginning of the season, we were so focused on the run game and how it was not reliable and Javonte Williams wasn't doing enough. And now we've got to get Audric Estime involved. And what does our ground game look like? And how do we put our rookie quarterback in a better position to be successful? Because that's what you do. You have a solid run game around a rookie quarterback so that they don't feel as much pressure. But if Bo Nix is going to keep dealing the ball the way that he is, 60-something yards rushed in a game. Now, you've always said it, and I'm listening. I hear you, and I'm locking it into my brain. Don't abandon. Let me learn how to talk. If I'm going to repeat what you've told me, let me say it correctly.
Like you always told me.
Don't abandon the run game just because Bo Nix is dealing the ball very well. But again, you don't need a Javonte Williams to pop off for 80+ yards or 90+ yards when Bo Nix is finding multiple receivers throughout the game and throwing darts because that's what he's doing. But again, don't abandon it because you've told me that. And I do agree with you there. You can't just get rid of it because Bo is throwing the ball well. You still got to have that.
Yeah, it allows your offensive line to be the aggressors and attack and, obviously eats up the clock and backs the defense off a little bit so you can have a little more room to throw the football. But the stuff that Bo Nix is doing, and he did a lot of this in college, and he's doing a lot of it with Sean Payton, is very quick release stuff, quick short passes to guys that actually sort of works as a de facto running game when the defense is playing so far off and you just out of your hands real quick, boom, right there. That's basically like running the football. These get these 3, 4, 5 yard gains. They're content with that. It stays in bounds. It chews up the clock. It's very high completion percentage. And Bo ends up with, high completion percentage games because of all these little dinky dunkies. And so that's cool. The thing that you need to develop is the downfield stuff, which they're starting to. The connection with Cortland Sutton, which he's starting to. you can see though, Sean Payton still needs to add something to his repertoire, and he tried it a bunch of times today. It was the deep strike down the sideline to Troy Franklin a couple of times. That still didn't work. To Devon Bailey down the sideline, that didn't work. They're trying to do some stuff down the sideline. It's just a perimeter shot. They call it all go. It means everybody goes deep. It's the first thing you do ever when you're a kid. It's go deep. You write it, do it on your chest, like in the huddle or on your hand. Just go deep, beat the guy deep. And when you run 4 verticals, it puts the defense in a bind. You saw Troy Franklin catch the seam down the middle today. It was on that all go concept where he's in the slot and he's just doing a go, but he bends it in the middle because there's 2 safeties. And then he caught that ball for a 25-yard gain. Those down the field plays are starting to come. The ones on the sideline have not yet. We haven't seen a deep stretch. Stop, man. Stop. I'm talking about. I
can't help it. It like genuinely, I just can't.
Strikes down the sideline are starting to come. Yeah, they are.
And that it's like
and they're laying out for it.
I can look past some of them, but some of them are just too good that I have to just do a quick little whatever. Right. Sorry. Anyway,
well, touche. I think if Sean Payton hits one of those, he would come in his pants just because that's how much he cares about those deep strikes.
There it is, and that's what we were waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. And
relative to this warm feeling I have in my pants.
Relative to, and there it is. At least at one point or another in these shows, just expect some type of innuendo that may make you want to plug your child's ears if they're in the room. Just know that before you even click on the show.
No, it's like those children's movies where the adults for the jokes are a little bit more veiled and the kids don't understand them. I mean, that's one that the kids wouldn't understand.
Did you get a chance to see that Garrett Bowles ran up on Bo Nix's post-game interview and said, best rookie in the class, baby?
Ha! He ain't lying, though. I mean, Caleb Williams out there did okay today, but
truth.
Yeah, he's definitely Caleb Williams, not better. Jaden Daniels fading into the rearview mirror. I think the betting world will agree in the days that are coming here. And then, Drake May didn't have a great game today either. And then the other 2 guys aren't playing, Michael Penix and JJ McCarthy. So, yeah, it's Bo, baby, right now. But what he can't do is worry about that,
No, and I honestly don't think he is. I'm more worried about it than I think Bo is. I really don't think he cares about that at all.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. He's just got to keep throwing the ball to his guys and letting them run with it, Sean Payton doing a good job coaching, preparing these guys. They got Cleveland, right, coming up on Monday of next week. So a Monday night game. That's pretty exciting. And then are they on their bye? Then they're on their bye after that. Yeah. Then they get a bye in after week 13.
Then they've got the flexed game, right?
They'll get 4 games left after that. Yeah. So then they'll have Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
On the 15th or whatever of December. Then they're flexed into the Chargers after that on that Thursday. And then they'll go on the road the following Sunday and play Cincinnati.
That'll be whew.
And then they'll come on back here to play the Chiefs in the last game of the season on January 5th. And that's it. So the Broncos have played 12 football games. They're 7-5. No one would have thought that. Vegas thought they were going to be 5.5-win team. People really thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. $53 million down or something like that you're paying to Russell Wilson to be over in Pittsburgh. And PFF graded the Broncos the worst roster in the league.
And I think they shut up that little man.
PFF.
What do you know?
Yeah, PFF's run by a bunch of nerds. It was started in Great Britain. Okay, that's all you gotta say.
Someone just called you Amish.
An Amish farmer, huh? Okay. Hey, man, I'll take it.
I mean,
your beard choice makes you look like an Amish farmer.
That's quite is that a compliment or an insult? I can't tell.
I mean, it depends. Yeah.
It depends on how you look at it.
Depends how you feel about the Amish, I guess, right? I mean,
well, maybe you don't need to get into that, but it does depend on that. I'm trying to look and see here. if we've got any notes yet about kind of what Sean Payton has talked about in the post game. I know BK is there. He's getting us all
already
the
know what
ins
he's
and
gonna say,
outs.
Liv.
What do you let's see if you know what he's gonna say before we find out what he's actually said.
He's gonna be like, yeah, big win. That's how it's gonna start. Something like that.
And then
I'm
he'll
not
do
gonna do
a
the whole thing.
play-by-play. He'll do a play-by-play of every quarter.
Yeah.
Again,
He'll start like 14 sentences and not finish them, and then jump to another one. He's got so many thoughts in his head. He just wants to say it all at the same time, and then he goes over and it was good when you. So Bo really, and then there was a defense that kind of, and then big plays on the. So, but you also can't get too far.
He speaks in shorthand. He does.
He takes a lot of mulligans with his.
Yeah, and honestly, I think when he starts the post game presser that way, Sean, you are delusional, my friend. Sean says y'all are delusional. Jaden is winning Rookie of the Year.
All right,
Sean, what are you talking about, Sean? That's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
It is gonna. It's the last 5 games that are really gonna matter.
Absolutely, because I do think it's going to be a pretty tight race. I mean, obviously, before one of the comments earlier in the show said after week 5, Bo Nix was just on a heater. So in the first 5 weeks, Jaden Daniels was on a heater and looked really, really, really good, and then Bo Nix kind of took over. So I do think finding your momentum at the right time of the season is very important. Do you think the Broncos are finding their momentum at the right time of the season?
I sure do. Real quick on the Commanders. The Commanders lost today, but they're both 7-5. Broncos and Commanders are both 7-5. Jaden Daniels did throw 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions today, but he rushed for 74 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, a big individual day, but they lost. And really, that's what matters, right? I think. I mean, if all is equal at the end of the season, whichever team does better, I think that's where that award will go. But the Broncos, you asked about momentum, so I think they've won 5 of their last 6.
Mm-hmm.
Won another game on the road. Bounced back from really, the Ravens was the last bad moment they had, right? And that was a real bad moment, but they learned a lot there. Came back prepared to beat the Chiefs and had them on the ropes. They had them, and you let them go. From the block kick, they responded really well to that. Sean Payton got them ready to go, 38-6 to beating the Falcons. So they got to feel that they played well against the Chiefs. They played well against the Falcons. And then they went on the road here in Vegas, which isn't without its distractions. I mean, you go to Las Vegas itself. It's like, where are we? What planet are we on? Because
it is it's like a different country over there. Yeah, honestly.
I mean, you enter this Death Star like spaceship freaking stadium that's dropped next to the strip. It's just like this big black like glowing orb, and then you go in there and you're like, there's like nightclubs that are like field level, and people are like popping bottles and like, what's up guys, like Vegas, and you're trying to play a football game and probably stuff's like, you're like, come on.
Were you just imitating the groupies?
Yeah, the girls at the club. Like, honestly, like, what are we doing?
I figured that's what that was. Honestly, that is actually my worst nightmare.
What, being at the club?
Giving groupie energy is my worst nightmare.
Oh, yeah. And
it really is.
Yeah. And for some reason, when they're designing that stadium, they wanted to put all that like Sin City stuff like right down in there instead of making it like a football type of vibe, It's this out-of-towner party vibe.
Well, and it's across the highway, so it feels very like disconnected from the strip. Like I almost wish they would have found a way to make it a little bit more intimate and close, because it does feel like it's like you're kind of on a different
close. You just got to walk across that bridge.
What do I look like walking across that bridge?
I mean, it's not, just there's probably some street performers on the way there, people trying to get your money. It's like pretty entertaining.
Right. And probably some kooky weirdos as well that I would not want to run into.
Lots of kooky weirdos. Yeah.
Correct. So I'm good. I'm good on the walking across the bridge thing. I'm good on that.
But it did look like Broncos fans were in full attendance there. They showed the stands. It was very orange. And I'm sure as the game went on, those orange fans got louder. And the Raider fans, who aren't the same Raider fans that were there in Oakland back in the days, that had the black hole, all that. What's up?
Breaking news. Gardner Minshew, broken collarbone, will miss the rest of the season.
Yeah. Breaking news is accurate. That's
broken news. Gardner Minshew is out for the rest of the season. That is
Cody,
tough. You know what? I
he's
hate
rolling
to
like this. Cody Barton falls on top of him. Even when you're rolling, you learn how to roll when you fall. But when there's someone on top of you applying pressure, it puts all those physics in a different spot, and you end up getting your life,
I hate to
your
see it.
season ended. Yeah,
I hate injuries. I hate them. If we could have healthy players all the time, all season long, I would love that. And this to me, the Raiders have been they've had a pretty rough year in terms of just finding their rhythm, finding their groove. And so this might just be a good way for them to kind of hit the refresh button a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that this Raiders team is necessarily focused on. I think they might have their sights set on like what does the future hold, not maybe the here and now. Tom Brady's involved now in the franchise, so
yeah.
I think there's going to be some changes made, and this might be a good step in the right direction in terms of doing that. But obviously, you hate to hear stuff like that. Sending prayers to Gardner Minshew. I've never had any collarbone injuries, but I can't imagine it feels good.
It doesn't. I haven't had it, but it's pretty common in football if someone falls on you like that, for that to snap because it just can't carry that load.
I'm getting shivers.
And it snaps. It's the type of thing that you can't really cast or do anything to fix.
Right? How do you rest that? I don't think
you just rest it. You put it in a sling and you don't move your arm basically. So, but you can't do much for a while. I don't know if they push it in to set it or anything, or if they just let it set on its own. I imagine it's the severity of the break. But you mentioned the Raiders players who are caught in this weird position of the organization being in flux, but their careers, their windows are very small. Unless you're like Max Crosby or a couple of those guys who are just gonna be okay. Most of these guys have to play for their jobs right now. And also when there's going to be a shakeup, then when there's not as much at stake on the field, you're going to suck. The guys who play the hardest and take it seriously and are professional end up making the right impression and lasting. And the ones who are like, man, fuck this, they get washed out because whoever's coming in next, or, people are watching film and they just see what happens there. So yeah, with Tom Brady involved, who will know what happened? I mean, he was calling the Packers and the 49ers game today. I was flipping over there a little bit and just hearing Tom Brady calling a game is kind of interesting. It's just like, you're not used to it,
Weird.
Yeah, but he's doing that. And he's also involved with the Raiders. The Raiders going to need a new coach. Antonio Pierce is not going to stay. He's going to get fired. They're going to get a new quarterback, there's a lot of changes coming. And so the Broncos couldn't be in a more different position than the Raiders. Young nucleus is intact. You got your quarterback, you got your new coach, and now you finally got a win in Vegas. And so these Broncos are going to feel pretty good about coming home. You wonder if they're going straight home or if they're going to stay in Vegas tonight. I hope they come home.
I agree. Yeah. So kind of just really quickly looking ahead, is there anything else in this game particularly? What do you think the Broncos could have done better maybe in this game?
First half. I mean, the first half, 1 for 5 on third downs to start. They were getting pressured a lot. The Raiders came out defensively and put a ton of pressure on the Broncos, and they didn't necessarily handle it great. They had a lot of negative plays, some penalties, McGlinchey, or as I renamed him, McFlinchy. And then a lot of people in the sports Denver media took it from me and pretended they made it up. This happened last year when he got here and he was
copycats.
Yeah, exactly. I never got it's fine, use it, but at least credit me every once in a while. But McFlinchy had a tough first half. And there's a lot of third and longs. They only had 44 rushing yards, 29 offensive plays, just did not possess the ball at all in the first half.
Yeah.
These
self-inflicted wounds, it feels like. Those are fixable issues. Those are things that they just need to be a little bit more disciplined on.
Yep. And but they came back on the second half and changed a lot of that. But like you said, it was really because they had to punt that first series when they had the ball. And then Brandon Jones had that interception. And it was that turnover that changed it and really switched the momentum. And the Broncos were able to kind of go from there. Following that Brandon Jones interception, which put him in the red zone. Cortland Sutton touchdown.
That was the momentum shifter. It was like the pick six. It was perfect.
He's so good at that toe tap acrobatic moment in the end zone. He's just so freaking good at it. He got up and he was talking to the crowd. He's like, I do this shit. I do this shit. Yes, you do this shit, Cortland. You do it all the time. He did it again.
Love trash talk. It is like by the way, sorry to interrupt really quick. By the way, do you watch the Denver Nuggets at all?
I do, but not as much as you. That's for sure.
That is true. Last night, Russell Westbrook, who is new to the Nuggets, played the Lakers, his former team. Lakers fans are so horrible to him. And he hit a 3 and he put his fingers like this and he said, boom, bitch, to the crowd. And I was like, I'm going to use that someday. I'm going to use that. Yeah. I'm going to use it. Yep. If somebody pisses me off, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. That's my new staple. Boom, so I love when players make a big play. Doesn't matter what the sport is. They make a big play and they talk their trash. I eat it up. So I love seeing that from the Broncos players. And honestly, on that same thing, why I love that is not just because it's hype and it's cool and it's like, yeah, but it shows that this Broncos culture has like kind of gotten rid of that, like, feel sorry for ourselves, losing, they just had this energy about them last season. And I don't blame them. When you've been losing for decades and you're just like in this franchise where there just doesn't seem like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, they kind of carried themselves in a very insecure manner. And so to see them kind of get that fire and get that confidence back, I'm like, I'm eating it up. I love every bit of it. I really do.
And it's nice to have Courtland Sutton being the tip of that spear because he's playing so well. I mean, every time the Broncos needed a catch or a moment or a third down, Courtland was right there. So he really was the security blanket. And you see the connection starting to develop between Bo and Courtland, like the back shoulder stuff, the timing on the little stop routes where you just have to go beyond the sticks and turn around. You're getting man coverage. They're right on you. As a quarterback, I gotta know when you're gonna stop. It comes from repetition, but like I got to know that when it's at 12 yards, you're going to stop at 12 yards and you're going to be open because I'm throwing it before you get out of your break when you have that type of coverage. You saw those types of plays, and that shows me that this connection is growing. Bo's becoming more comfortable in the pocket. I think the less Bo Nix runs the football, the better for this team. The longevity. There's going to be a time, if the Broncos make the playoffs or when they really need it. But in a game like this, they don't need him to run, and he didn't. 1 carry, 5 yards. That's all. Good. You stayed clean. Did he get hit at all? Do you remember even getting hit? I mean, I didn't see many knockdowns on him. There was 1 sack, and that's it. So I think the offensive line played really well. Like I was talking about earlier about the quick pass stuff. You get it out of your hands so quick, you're not going to get hit. And then you let your guys run with the football and make some plays. So I really like the game plan, what they're doing. But the imperative for this to be effective was to develop the intermediate and downfield passing, which is starting to come along. The down the middle field passing, which is starting to come along. The last piece of the puzzle, this one they can't complete, is the one down the sideline. The deep ball down the sideline. They keep trying it because they're going to need it. And when they hit that one, it's going to be big.
I was going to say they do. That's probably something that they just want to find their rhythm on because they do know that at some point they're going to need to be able to make big plays like that. But, again, we're just watching Bo Nix every week get a little bit better in some capacity. He's finding some confidence and some rhythm and some groove. And it's just chef's kiss, It's just chef's kiss, honestly. Okay, before we get out of here, anything are you feeling optimistic? We'll end with this. Are you feeling optimistic as we look way ahead to the Monday Night Football game against the Browns?
I am. Browns came off a big win against Pittsburgh, right, in the snow, but they're coming here. And still, I mean, you saw the way the Raiders played. They played well. You had to actually play a good game to beat them. The same's going to be the case with the Browns, and that's how you got to approach it. Even though they've gone through a lot, they got a new leader. They're kind of responding to Jameis Winston, right? Yeah. I think they 2-0 with Jameis Winston, actually. So yes, you got to take. And Nick Chubb is back, and the return of Jerry Jeudy, right? That'll be interesting.
I'm very excited about that piece of it, for sure.
Yeah, me too. They have it. I mean, you got to stop Myles Garrett. He's going to be coming after Bo Nix. I mean, they have a pretty good defense, so it's going to be an interesting game. In no way is it a cakewalk. The Broncos have to continue winning. And if they beat them, then they get the bye. Then they get the Colts, who I think are beatable. If you win those next 2 games, you're 9-6. No, I'm sorry, you're 9-5. 9-5 with 3 games left. And then you got
good spot to be in. I mean, it's definitely significantly better than I think most people anticipated they would be at this
Yeah.
point in the season. So
And then you got to win one of those
amazing.
last 3 for sure. And that's the Chargers, who are a very good team. The Bengals, who have the number 1 passer in the league, the number 1 receiver in the league, the number 1 sacker in the league, and are 4-7. They've lost a lot of close ones. If they figure it out, if they're still in the playoff hunt, that can be a very difficult game.
Absolutely.
And then back here at the Chiefs, with the Chiefs at the end, and there's no telling where the Chiefs are going to be. Will they be resting starters? Will they need to win to secure home field advantage? The Chiefs eked out one over the Panthers today, but they had to go to overtime to beat those guys, or close to it. I mean, 30-27. So anyway, every game's important. This game was badass. Ding dong, the witch is dead. We can
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Do you know what that's from?
I've heard it. I don't know the whole song.
Ding dong, the witch is dead. Wait, ding dong, the witch is dead. The witch is dead. It's from
You say wicka wicka wicka.
The Wicked Witch. It's the Wicked Witch. So
yes.
Dorothy and Toto. Ding dong.
The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Of course. I was actually Dorothy one year for Halloween, Black Dorothy, if you will.
Oh, cool.
I always like to switch things up.
Did you have the ruby slippers?
Of course I did, and the little socks with the little ruffle. And I actually think my mom maybe didn't want to braid my hair, so she put me in a braided wig instead. Kind of rude, but whatever. It was great. It was fabulous. Okay, well, were you ready to get out of here? And we'll obviously be live. Well, will we both be live tomorrow? We might be. We might both be live tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll be there. We got off field. Come and see it tomorrow at 11.
Field, not court. Field. Perfect. Well, we will be live tomorrow to kind of break this down a little bit more detailed with some X's and O's and all the good things. And of course, you can catch Off Field every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Just breaking down all things Denver Broncos as well as just the NFL as a whole, because we are going to start getting into that world where we aren't just talking about the Denver Broncos, because we got to talk about who the Broncos may face in the playoffs, or who so we'll be looking at everything, because this is kind of the time of the year where, wins from other teams will matter for the Denver Broncos. So we will be kind of keeping track of that and breaking all that down. But any final thoughts here, Nathan?
The Broncos took care of business in a difficult environment, and beat a divisional opponent that they haven't beaten in a long time. They've had their number. Sean Payton's clearly changing things around here, and the demons of the past are not our demons now. This is a new team, and he's going forward and having these guys playing well. Playoff destiny in their own hands.
Broncos country, we are back on track. We are so back. It's fantastic. And I am tucking my tail and saying I was a little impatient with the process. Yes, I was. I jumped to conclusions very early. I felt like poo-poo Sean Payton. I don't agree with what you're doing. Poo-poo. And now I'm realizing poo-poo and pee-pee, I don't like it. And now I'm realizing poo-poo, pee-pee, I do like it. It's great. So yeah, tucking my tail, giving out a little apology to Sean Payton. I should have been a little more patient with your process here, but you are doing great things. Bo Nix crushing it. It's so fun to watch this team right now, and hopefully they just continue to keep pushing through, because they look fabulous.
Poo poo pee pee. I agree.
Poo poo pee pee. We're good. Okay. Well, I'm Liv Moots. That's Nathan Sirius, aka Nate Jackson, and we will be live again tomorrow, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, to break down this Broncos game a little bit more in detail, but just keep talking football, Broncos, NFL, all the things. So we'll catch you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Thanks for hanging, and let's go Broncos.
Good Broncos.